But once you've heard someone's articulated outcome, you're alongside them, deeply and respectful of how tough it is. And then you notice their strengths and you notice the ways in which they continue to struggle with that. You don't build some sort of stereotype picture of, oh yeah, well, they would say that, wouldn't they? They're not telling the truth. They're bound to relapse. You know, those kind of negative descriptions are a different perspective on the same issue. But we've got to encourage people to not see it from that point of view.
This has been really important for me in knowing you and working with you and learning from you over 20 years, Rhoda. Is one of the things that you've always told me that I've learned from you, it's really important, is we must always recognise all of the strengths and capacity for people to change. It's too often people and families get described up in negative labels and deficits. And I'd like you to say just a little bit more about how important that is and why that comes about, yes?
Absolutely. We have fallen into the trap, haven't we, of releasing resources only when people can be defined as a big problem.
Mm-hmm.
So if that's the way to get a service and release resources to people, then the conversations between professionals and the citizens are all about how bad is this and where can you go and get something to fix it. So the conversation is all about the deficits and the problems, and sometimes they're even escalated in order for someone to crash through into the referral criteria of the service the worker wants. You know, so it's even bigger, because that's how I get a service for my service users, to tell everybody how bad it is. And that's the starting point then. Imagine that. Imagine every conversation in every new service starts with how big you as a problem.
Yes.
And it's the opposite, isn't it, of what's helpful. So shifting that strengths-based, outcome-focused conversations that have now moved on. And my work, as you said, the last 10 years has been moving on from the implementation of IFSS across Wales to supporting whole organisations to shift their approach into outcome-focused, not service-focused, and focused on strengths, but not just a list of positive, but the strengths that could be utilised to address the risks. Because we're there for a reason. People are at risk. They're facing things they haven't faced before. They're in difficulty. They're spiraling down, so there are risks. And so it's not just a list of positives, but it's strengths that are going to be identified by that person, in that person, that are going to offset the risks and reach that outcome. Services don't come into that. We are alongside people, and along the way, they'll invite in that extra help that keeps them going. But not as an end. So one of the things that my approach to local authorities and other wider organisations, the third sector, etc., is build a relationship and an expectation that your staff are going to discover something, not deliver something.
Yeah.
So the whole emphasis is on what can we discover, not what can we deliver. And when we have a whole public service in Wales doing that, we understand right from the beginning more of what is needed, rather than leading with what have I got in my bag that I can give them. Appointments at day centre are important. So certainly delivery needs to shift away, and in people's consciousness is their skill to discover and build that relationship. And along the way then you unpick those really unhelpful systems that have stopped people seeing each other as human beings. So if you've got an expectation that you do assessment in this time and you do an intervention in this time, and then if that's the machine you're feeding, there's so much less time available to truly understand the uniqueness of this person in this world. So in the local authority work and the collaborative communication program work that I'm doing, it's all about transforming away from process-driven work unpicking all those systems, letting people truly see, moving away from labeling and stereotypes. You know, I had a case discussed in a reflective group the other day, and that's one of the pillars of our work, is that we would lead an authority with a strong infrastructure of reflective practice, so that people are really, there's a real quality assurance in that, because you know, if you set in a good reflective practice group talking about their work, you have no doubt about the quality of the work that's been done. If you pull a file and try and see whether someone's filled in the right forms or not, you have no idea of anything other than their ability to feed the machine. So we've got it wrong, haven't we, if we don't understand the impact, but enabling organisations to unpick that. And that's complicated, because even though government has written its amazing new legislation, Future Generations, Social Services and Wellbeing Act, all of those have this in the heart of them, and we welcome it so much. But if they don't pull out some of their safety blanket, if they don't stop asking for the wrong data, then they will continue to constrain people.
No, absolutely.
So right through the system, we have to free people up. You can't grow roses in concrete, and we poured concrete all over our public services. So our workers can't flourish.